back to Couch News Dark Souls 2. I am Caleb, the Dungeon Master, and I had a little bit of time between my studying to go ahead and do this, so I thought, hey, let's do that a little more. Sorry, I was adjusting something on Twitch. Okay. Fozzie. So, when we last left off, we had gotten the bonfire at Hades Tower of Flame. We were a little ways into Forest of Fallen Giants. And, yeah, that was what was going on. And I think today I'm going to do a bit more Forest of Fallen Giants. Sorry, I just got a text message to make sure it's not critical. So I figured we'd Forest of Fallen Giants, get some stuff there, and sort of talk about the design of it. One of the things I do like is, I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but I like how from here at Majula, the game sort of makes a promise to you. And it's one of the things in Dark Souls 1 people said they really liked was that you could see Sin's Fortress, and you could see Duke's Archives, and basically, if there was a thing that you could see from Firelink Shrine, chances are you were going to pay a visit to it at some point, which is pretty cool. And they do sort of the same thing here. You've got, there's the keep inside the Forest of Fallen Giants, and that square tower that's like directly above my character's head is the Cardinal Tower where we lit the bonfire. And we'll see that statue up close when we're over there. Similarly, if we look this way, there's Hades Tower of Flame, and like, you could just make out the building that we come out of when we come out of the aqueduct, but it's all there. Like, you can see the detail of the whole little area. And then up here you've got sort of the arena and aqueduct where we met. Well, we didn't talk to him, but the guy with the sword. And then there's Drainlink up in the distance. I think that's pretty neat. That's sort of making these promises to you. Of like, there are some cool places here to go. I also like that there's this pit in town. Can't really do anything about right now, but it's there. So that, like, theoretically in New Game Plus or whatever, you got the Silver Cat Ring early. You could theoretically start jumping down there. I think it's neat. Again, I really like how Majula, people have said that it's desolate, it's depressing, but I actually think that it's really pretty. The sound of the sea and the wind and how it sort of rustles these grasses, it really does feel, I have fond memories of the California coast, like near the Russian River Valley north of San Francisco, and it really reminds me of that area, where, yeah, it's a little harsh because the sea is blowing on it, but it's also kind of pretty. And so for Dark Souls, where the theme of this game is that things are going to die and fade away so that something new can be reborn, I think that having the sunset and have this coastal village that's just barely on is a really sort of pretty way to accomplish that. So anyways, enough rambling. Let's go to the Forest of Fallen Giants. Okay, so I think I want to buy a couple fireballs from Militia, because I don't currently have any, so we're going to buy 2 in case. Now again, I'm playing the base version, not Scholar of the First Sin. So if you've only played Scholar of the First Sin, some of these enemy placements may bother you, or you may not be familiar with it. I don't have a shield I want to use yet, so we're going to wait for this guy. We're going to bait his attack, and we're going to do a terrible job of getting out of the way of it. And then this guy is He's gonna try to get up and ambush us, but we're just gonna nip that in the bud. Oh, that was close. I blame the cat for that one. She bumped the controller while I was walking across there. So this is another area that I think is kind of neat in that you've got this sort of high-level area down there that like not a lot of people even go to at all, and yet it's visible and accessible in the sort of first level. And I can't remember, do I have the fire longsword? Did I do that section? I did not, so we gotta do the outside first. Well, I've already started on this, so we'll go ahead and take care of this and we'll go do that in a minute. This place is full of all these ambushes, and one of the things I like about it is how it seems to have this. It does seem to fulfill a functional role. Like they looked in action, and everything sort of. You can imagine what it once served, but it's been abandoned for a very long time. Oh, that was bad. What just happened there? Dark Souls 2 has its fair share of glitches, but I think anyone who claims that there are any of FromSoft's games that don't have their glitches is deluding themselves. That guy. Ugh. That was just a stupid one. Okay, well, let's go get those souls. What's funny is I was doing kind of a dress rehearsal for this run before I decided to do it. Just kind of goofing around in there, and I made it. I think my character is yet to die, and I'm all the lost Bastille with her. And this character, maybe it's just having an audience. This character is not looking so good. Oh. And, oh, there's that glitch again. He just sort of, like, up and disappeared. This is weird. Things are not behaving how they normally do for me, so we'll improvise. Maybe it's because I haven't done the other part yet. Maybe it matters what order you do stuff. Okay, so this guy's gonna shoot at me. Oh, I almost fell off again. That would have been unfortunate. Like, I don't know, there are aspects of Dark Souls 2's level design that I like. I mean, I feel like that little area is contrived. It doesn't feel like a natural area. That boulder. So my issue with that boulder is, okay, so it got rolled down and killed a dude, but who pushed it? Because there's no enemy up here. There is this dude, and I mean, I don't think he ever shows up to be your enemy. Oh, he has so much dialogue.
Like yourself. I'm navigating the continent to create a map. Why cartography, you ask?
Because maps are awesome.
Well, that's a good question. When I first came into this forsaken land, it was...
So again, that
curse?
ties into the fact that as
Something about
as
the
you
curse.
as you hollow, you lose your mind. You forget who you are,
How
what you're
embarrassing.
doing. But
I seem to have lost my focus.
I think it also is part of the thesis of
But I
Drang
do
Lake
know
being
one
this
thing
sort
for
of
certain.
dream place that doesn't
I've always been very
really make
fond
sense.
of maps. I came to this land some time ago. Kingdom. It's so romantic. Have you seen Majula? Oh, there's a rather spacious mansion there.
Mansion's kind of a grand
I've
term
made
for
it
it.
my home. As something of a squatter, I'm afraid. Inside the mansion, I found a strange map, like none I'd ever seen. I believe that it's a map of Drang Lake.
Which is
Now
kind of
I'm
clever
traveling the land to prove it.
to put an actual
Yes.
map, a shape to
That's
the
it.
kingdom.
That's why I came to the kingdom.
But at the same time, it's kind of pointless because it's
Wait.
not like it.
No, that
I don't know.
wasn't it. Then what? I don't seem to recall.
And so here
Looking
he's
at that
found
map.
his purpose, which is
Wonderful.
some,
Then you're
that's what's keeping him from
fascinated by
going hollow
maps,
is the map,
just like me.
whereas ours is, hunting down
Shame
the
on
great
you.
ones.
You should have told me before. Here, take this. A key to the mansion. What a joy to meet a kin spirit out here.
Uh-huh. Okay. Then he turns up in the mansion after we kill the lost giant, I think. But we're gonna go in there before he should. But yeah, like this area, while it feels like a legit area where you have this sort of flooded area and a house within the castle walls, or an armory or something. You got this sort of like it feels like this castle. Oops, gotta pay attention. It feels like this place was like it grew out in steps. As like they needed more stuff. Oh, I did not. I didn't expect that one to hit, since the hitboxes in Dark Souls 2 are kind of wonky. There's the guy who disappeared on me. Look at him go. No, that's you, buddy. Oh! This could be bad. Wow. I swear, I'm not usually this bad at this game. Okay. Let's try this again. So a big departure for Dark Souls 2 from Dark Souls 1 is that you do have a penalty for being hollow. Your health slowly degrades with each death. So if you die too much, it is punishing. It actually becomes a much more difficult game. Not to mention your character gets uglier and uglier. In Dark Souls 1, you can't do certain things if you're hollow, and ooh, Bastard Sword. If I was going for a strength build, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, what is going on with this game right now? That guy's coming up. That's... There goes the other guy. Gonna fall through the wall this time, dude? And I'm getting some sound glitches too, which I don't like. I hope those aren't coming through on your guys'. Oh. Okay. And this one's full of all these, like, awful little traps, like, places where it's really small. I think if I have a major criticism of Dark Souls 2, it is that in places it thinks that the main appeal of a Souls game is the difficulty. And I think for a lot of people, the main appeal isn't the difficulty. It's the sense of place. It's the world, and the difficulty is part of that sense of place. That idea that basically the entire world is out to kill you, and like you look at this place. There's really no practical way to traverse it. And for Mindless Hollows, these guys should have ages ago, and yet here they are pestering me. I can stab him with the short sword. That's what there are some interesting like combat and design challenges, like that one wasn't too bad. I don't like how you have to loop through it 3 or 4 times to get all the stuff. That irritates me. But that's just like a quibble. Overall, I think that the game has earned a reputation it doesn't really warrant. I think the Souls community, I guess. The people who play Demon Souls fell in love with Demon Souls, and they wanted more. And Dark Souls had some changes that I don't really hear a lot of complaints that Dark Souls wasn't enough like Demon Souls for people, but I hear a lot. Like, so when Dark Souls 2 came out, one of the biggest complaints about it was that it wasn't Dark Souls 2. People just want more of Dark Souls 1. And so to me, the really crazy thing is Dark Souls 3 comes along. Okay, well, we'll give you more Dark Souls 1, we'll give you what you asked for. This is why developers should be leery of giving fans exactly what they asked for. So, give fans more Dark Souls 1, and then the fans complain that they have no inspiration, and it's just a rehash of what they've already done before. There's just no winning. I do think that the Souls are far too critical of From. Like, I don't know. Dark Souls 2 is a really good game. It does have its flaws and its blemishes, but every game does. I would argue Dark Souls 1 has some too. And I was hoping for backstab on my character. So here's a tricky little number. If you go up this ladder, here's far earlier than you normally would. I don't think you get anything for killing him early. I've never managed it. I just avoid it. No! There's something going on. Like, these are some weird little glitchy things. Kind of wish I had a shield for him. For the spear dudes. They're obnoxious. Thankfully, he's not put. Okay. Oh, and we finally. That took way longer than it should. I am going to go ahead and pick up the Pharaoh's Lockstone. Malintia. No, I'm not, because it's 4,000. But I'm going to rest. And we're going to go hit the stuff down here. And so here again we have another shot of Drangleic Castle off in the distance, just reminding you what your goal is. In these sort of hills and forests. And there's... So like the river we came down is on the other side of that hill. And it flows like thing with all the tree roots, the tower where we fought, where I lured a bunch of dudes down the ladder. You gotta be careful about the rolling on these platforms. That's how I'm gonna die again. I think it's really, really neat too, just in the way that you can sort of see everything. It's totally optional, but there is some good stuff, and it's not too difficult. But it has some tricks in it. Like right here, if you take the, it looks like there's not a path underneath, but you would totally drop down and find yourself in a sticky situation. And actually, Dark Souls 2, I would say even more so than Dark Souls 1, really encourages you to move forward in tiny increments and be ready to retreat to safe ground. Like here, normally they'll come branch to swarm you, because there are a few guys down there, and if you just try to run and fight them, they'll do that. They're not doing that for me right now. But it's sort of a game where you make yourself some safe space so that you can fight. And then once you have that, the rest is bad. Always forget to check down that tunnel because I'm so focused on everything else that's going on down here. I think that's all of those soldiers just milling about. And they're pretty generous with these life gems. I think in my usual playthrough, I never really run low on them. Because you don't, once your Estus count starts going up, I find that you don't need to use as many life gems. So I'm going to do something that may not be the smartest, but I really like that you can do it. And I failed it. Oh, I failed it miserably. So there's no, you can jump from that tree branch up there and sort of end this ambush pretty early, or before it can even get off the ground, because there's two guys up there. Probably even see one. If I put my bow, do I have any arrows? I know I have a bow, but I don't have any arrows. Here. Nope. Trick. Oh, that guy stands up and comes down. Ready for it. Oh, there's, oh. And then the other guy's just slower to get up and come down. So it's the same thing. But if you're not ready for that, what happens is you go into this tunnel and you're stuck between a fire-breathing nude and an ambush right behind you in a tight space. Or you come in here and dead end with two guys coming at you. So again, I feel like that's pretty decent design. I'd say that you can't really see them. So unless it's not an ambush you can actually prepare for, right? The first time through. So this is the Fire Longsword. It's actually a pretty decent weapon early on in the game. But I actually find that, especially if you're going for like a dex build, at least an early game dex build, the scimitar is just much more useful to upgrade. Alright, so that's that little area. We still don't have the 4,000 we need. So I think probably go back, upgrade the scimitar, spend some souls, get the lockstone from the mansion. I'm trying to think. where we need lockstones. And that's another cool thing about this is that, you know, this hallway we came down that we thought was just a hallway has been revealed to be the interior of a wall that we sort of explored both sides of, or one side of. The other side we're not going to get to after the ladder. Oh no, 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 no! Whew. It's too close. I'm not going to kill that other guy. He's just minding his own business over there. But yeah, so we've been going down that long wall from that sort of front turret. And you kind of get a sense of the shape of this original fortress. It was destroyed and overgrown. And down there, I think I mentioned this last time, is sort of the in-game area that you can see from the very first level. So we go back to Majula. Get some stuff to do there. So those two, I think what they were doing was they were trying to riff on an idea.
Curse.
Actually, I think they were riffing on a couple of ideas that came. Demon Souls, Dark Souls. Oh, I can't remember what I was planning to do. We're gonna go. I'm good on health. Do strength my current weapon, so we'll go ahead and get our start working our dex up to 20. Use these menus. I only need 2 to. So we will. You should give me enough. If not, you'll just.
I give you up.
Oh no, 610. I do have the Titanite for it. So, pop it. That might be fun to bump my strength and go with the Bastard Sword build. I don't think I've done like a big sword build in Dark Souls. I haven't. Okay. So there are like all these books, and there are these little candles, and I kind of wonder who was for our map friend came and swatted. There was Lockstone, but used to get a ring shortly. And we'll go ahead and kill a skeleton. And his directions on how to get to this room, when he does send you to this room, are kind of took me a couple playthroughs before I realized that this is the map. It's just super useful. But like, Majula's on this point here. There's a river that flows down. Ends up being like down here somewhere. But it's not, as maps go, it's kind of crap. And I think that's the idea. Is yeah, okay, we'll give you a map so you can see the world, but then that doesn't really tell you anything. That the map doesn't really matter. And that's how you kill a skeleton. Like, apparently he's pretty difficult. He gets a lot of people, but I don't think I've ever died to him. those are all bloodstains of people. Maybe he's rougher, or there's more in New Game Plus. Because that's another thing I haven't really tinkered around with. I tend to get bored in New Game Plus. Like, yeah, I've already done all this. Like, I've already picked up all these items. Why am I doing it again? And I guess Dark Souls 2 does have, like, you know, actual gameplay differences. You know, if you're doing it the second, third time around. Okay, so we've looted the house. Just jump down. Not run into the pit. We do have the shards that we just picked up that will let us upgrade the scimitar again.
You're working.
That's what I'm looking for. Alright. Now we definitely don't.
I'll be around if you make it back.
Shield would be really useful.
Oh, hello.
1500, huh?
Well,
Do that.
well,
Oh, thank you, Mullen. So now we will put that shit. Now we're talking. Now we're cooking with gas. Oh, and I guess I want my adaptability up. I was hearing that I want my I think. I don't know. Never really understood. I haven't tinkered with it enough. This is actually, like, if you know about this shortcut, it's kind of rough if you don't know about this shortcut, but if you know about this shortcut, it's another piece of design, how keep having shortcuts that cover, like, you know, people talk about how the level design of Dark Souls 2 is as good as Dark Souls 1. That interconnectivity across all of the levels, but within the levels, you know, things like this where the whole level is designed around a singular location and that you keep sort of coming back close enough to open up shortcuts. Design is still there, it's just tying themselves into making it so the whole world interconnects like that. They make it interconnect like that so they can tell the difference. Nope. That's another issue I have with Dark Souls 2 is I feel like the plunging attack got pretty hard. In addition to, you know, backstabs being more difficult to pull off. I can kind of see how some of the aesthetic, there's people too, like, in a lot of the places you have this sort of flat gray lighting that is realistic. Like, I mean, if you were in these sort of ancient places, interesting looking, they'd all be all kind of dull and faded. I'll have more to say about Pharaoh's Lockstone later. For right now, stuff, loot. I think what they were trying to do is they wanted you to come back later in this that you can't get to. Well, you can, but it's really difficult. So, you know, like, get that first thing. I feel like they expected you to come back later and sort of loot it, and that's why the Lockstone it's 4,000 souls. And, I don't think we're expected to have one here. Although, if you do have Chloranthy ring, is really useful. What's that? Oh, we got it from the birds. So, easy peasy. Locked? Well, hello? And that's a pretty clever one that I actually had to look up online. I was the first time. Saw that coming. So I recall there's one more. No time for his shenanigans. Life range, large shard. And it's Peaches.
Hello there. Traveling all alone in these treacherous times. Well, I hope you have a very good reason. Oh, hogwash. Who am I to judge? My name is Pate. I journey hither and thither on a sort of treasure hunt, you might call it. Be careful out there. There's talk of unsavory bandits who prey on us like yourself.
Now, Pete sort of ties into what I was saying earlier about them riffing on ideas and trying to do more of a spiritual successor than a direct sequel. Because Pate is clearly this game's version of Patches. He seems nice enough, he tells you about treasure, but the situations he always points you in are always like death traps. And he's always sort of squatting and...
Oh yes, you be cautious if you go any farther. There's treasure in there for certain, but the entrance locks from behind. I saw the same design earlier, and it's the same contraption, I'm sure. I was with this warrior, you see, and he insisted that he go inside first. The rather brusque fellow tried to swipe the loot for himself. Trapped him inside. I still have the gent's ring. I do hope he wasn't harmed.
So they have a different voice actor, they have sort of a different manner of speaking, and the idea is that, you know, this is the concept of Patches with a different execution.
I'll leave this one to you. I'm worried about what might be inside.
And it's an excellent example of sort of where I think the Souls community can be really hypocritical. Like, I've heard people complaining about level up girls and how, oh, you know, they did the level up girl in Demon Souls, that was really good, but all the other level up girls have just been cheap copies, not as good. You know, they just ran out of ideas. But no one complains about there being patches in every game. So, I mean, it's just... I don't know. Again, I feel like they're riffing on a theme here, and people weren't ready for that. They wanted exactly what they had liked about Dark Souls 1. Ugh. Now, if you don't have a shield, a high stability shield, that little ambush can be devastating. Still not, because there's another one right here that is equally as crappy to deal with. Shield up. take care of the archer. Oh, it's Dark Souls 2, you push a button. And then if I wanted to do something with magic, this is where I'd get started. And yay, we made it out of the death trap, and we're on another wall. And like, again, so that hallway we were in down there is below where we were earlier in the level. There's a lot of like verticality to these levels, and a lot of sort of backtracking without blatant backtracking.
Well, I see you managed to escape. I hope that brave warrior didn't come a cropper either. Be careful out there. There's talk of unsavory bandits who prey upon travelers like yourself. Oh. This. It allows undead to call out for help to one another across the fissures between worlds. With luck, somebody will lend you a hand.
And another thing that I like about Dark Souls 2, to continue the praise parade, I guess, is NPC summons like are part of those NPC stories. So, like if you don't summon Lucatiel at every option, you can't complete your story. And I think that's like an incentive to get people to summon who otherwise wouldn't. And it gives people who do sort of a little bit of a bonus. Like, yeah, I didn't beat the boss without, help, but I got a little more story, a little more loot for it, because I did. I'm just sort of all for the jolly cooperation. I'm Sunbro through and through. Did I buy? I didn't buy through. Make life a little easier here. Okay, as I recall, there's no point to going farther down. Although, I wonder if you drop here, does that put you behind? Okay, I see. I see what's going on. Okay, let's see if we can make this jump first try. Yes! And now we can deal with this ambush. Or not. Just plunging attacks. Go do a glug glug. Oops. What? Oh. Why didn't that... That did not work as intended. I mean, I killed him, but I was hoping to do a dramatic explosion blowing up everything here. Getting rid of all of my ranged attacks is going to hurt me here in a second. So, first thing I'm going to do is open the shortcut. It's safe. And once again, we've looped back around. So this level feels huge while you're playing it, But if you look at like a bird's eye footprint of it, it's really, really not that big. And I find that really impressive. Bug. Take care of this ambush. Let's go ahead. I hate to waste a fire on this, but best way to go about this. Okay. So that's another one where they sort of lure you out here with this lone enemy and an item, and then that other guy drops on you from up there. So, if you look at that guy, we've seen the back of his head before, and then the tower where we've been hanging out is right directly behind us. And so Majula is off in that direction. Can't see it from here. We can also see a boss arena that will be coming up. And actually, I don't know if we can see the nest. We can't. Though, of the creature that will take us onto another area after the boss. Like giant statues. I love the rocks and the ocean below. I just love how it encourages you to picture this fortress as it must have been before it was destroyed. Okay. First things first, let's get rid of that, get rid of that. And I'm not going to head back to Majula because I don't foresee any difficulties with the last giant. Of course, having said that, I'm sure that I'll die like 10 times in embarrassing fashion. So here we are. We're descending far below the level of the castle. It's not far, but into the basement. One last little ambush. Oh, another. So this is another sign that you're supposed to come here later in the game. Oh. Gotta burn an effigy. Because if we don't summon Pete, we don't get his whole story. I'm sorry. this fight is largely about just stamina management. Whack at his ankles. And what's funny is that with just minor difficulty, or minor tweaks, one of the last bosses in the game is the same thing. He just moves a lot faster, there's a lot more going on. So yeah, in this sad little arena is the last giant who we murdered for loot. From him, we got the first item I really want to look at the item description of. Soul of the surviving giant, who was bound below the forest of the giants. The Lord of the Giants, who had brought wrack and ruin to the entire kingdom, was said to have been felled by an unknown warrior. His beaten and broken remains were then dragged away beneath the stronghold, where he was sealed away. He used the special soul of the last giant to acquire numerous souls or create something of worth. Now that's something I hadn't noticed before. So, this giant, the reason he attacks us is because we, through a twist that you'll see, we were the unknown warrior who killed him when he was the giant king, and that's why that explains. So, like, the giant is like the boss of the base game, and his moveset is very, very similar to the giant that we just fought. It's because he's the same freaking giant. Mind blown. I hadn't noticed that detail before. And that's something I think is pretty clever about Dark Souls 2. Not to beat on a dead horse any further. Let's look at some keys. This is the one we just got. A fort was erected in the forest to face the giants, and now the soldiers are lost and hollowed. They are enfeebled, but not without honor, and continue to steadfastly defend their country. I don't know. We do learn more about this war with the giants later on. This is the key that Kale, the cartographer, gave us, where Majula served as a dumping ground for horrible things, but is now a gathering place for those with no better place to go. So Majula, like, a dumping place for horrible things, maybe our characters are horrible things? I don't know, maybe that's a stretch. And then we already looked at that key, I think. Alright. So, we're done in here. And I'm not going to go everywhere the soldier key allows us to go. Mainly because I don't really feel up to... Oh, hi, friend. Oh, no, no. Oh. Bad aim. Okay. And the door that we broke through on the second, third floor would also open the key. Actually, there are a few places this key opens. It opens the route to the Pursuer, who's a boss that I always struggle with, so I'm going to put him on late in the game. Because you don't really get much for beating him that you can't get elsewhere. And then this area is pretty cool. We're sort of more or less directly above where we fought the last giant. We can't... I think it'd be cool if you could see the hole in the ground where he was. I think this little space here is one of... From occasionally does it where they have a castle where they build like a courtyard and then they don't. Horn has one in Yahar Ghul. There's one here. I'm sure there's some in Dark Souls 1 and 3 too. And we've got this fancy ass door. And we don't have the symbol of the king, so we'll have to leave and come back later. I think that's going to wrap up the Forest of the Fallen Giants. We're going to buy a lockstone from Malintia. turn this one. It is nice that Malincha hangs out until you kill the last giant, and then she moves to Majula. We'll see her there. So we found a shard.
Is that a shard you found?
Yes, it is.
Here, to see light, however faint.
And then we'll level up a little bit. I thought adaptability was... Oh, there it is. It's... I feel like that's a total waste. Because... Let's see. Load is vitality. Which I'm going to dump some points into, actually. Right now, just up to 5. And then we'll bump up our strength for... In case... Actually, we'll do it first. Just in case I want to do a strength-based one.
Bearer of the curse.
Seek lest.
Seeks.
Huh.
Roshan souls, but I think it'd be worth it, so... Yeah, don't waste my time. Two, just to be safe.
What?
I don't know why this guy's so grown. 980. Okay.
Don't.
Fine. Can always get more souls. Actually, in Dark Souls 2, that's not entirely true. There is a theoretical upper limit that you can get, and then you have to start using bonfires to respawn
Make it
enemies.
back.
So there's Malincha. She's moved to town. I think actually that when you bring her to town, this dude has something new to say. Yeah, so there's where we were. Here's where we are.
Look at our new neighbors. How they fret over all and sundry. Ah, dear me. It really takes me back. Do you see the way
Alright,
you may, but don't?
alright.
May you find peace on your journey.
So, here's where we are. There's where we've been. There's where we're going. I just don't think it's going. Like the shadows and lighting, like, I don't know. I think this game gets its bad rap is, or its bad rep, kind of undeserved. I have a shield now, buddy. What do you think of that? Easy as pie. Ooh, the old knight helm. I'm worn their stuff because it breaks super easy. Now this guy, this dramatic. Oof. Got it. Okay. He drops the Sublime Bone Dust, which we'll look at when we get to the bonfire. really funny when you can get these guys to walk off the cliff. That one did not do it. Alright. So, like, if you don't actually explore this whole area, that boss fight becomes a little more difficult. But if you explore it all, it becomes kind of tolerable. I think this is a cool little detail of how effectively these guys are watching us in an honor duel with their friend. And now we run like hell. Because they're going to come take revenge, and I don't like to fight two of them at the same time. I actually hate that you can't just bait them one at a time. I'm sure if I were to get good, I could just deal with them both, but I'm not. That's what I was aiming for. Oh, is he gonna fall off the cliff? Walk off the cliff, dude. That'd be so funny. He can't find his way up the stairs. That's too funny. Here, why don't you come fight me? Here. Figured it out. Okay. These guys are really intimidating when you first see them and encounter them, and once you sort of learn their moveset, they aren't too bad at all. For a lot of the Souls games, is, you know, they're really intimidating until you learn sort of what they're all about, and then you can match them. I love the skybox here. I also love this dome and how you get the freaking god rays. Like, this is probably one of my favorite looking zones in the entire series. Just the way the sun is and the ocean everywhere, and these buildings, you know, half collapsed in the sea, for sort of that real sense of fallen grandeur that I think goes for a lot. Okay, one more of these. Watch me fall in the drink here. For, I think, moss. Green blossom. Okay. So again, I'm all for NPC summons. This is Masterless Glencore. I know that he has a story. Like, I don't know what his deal is. And like the old Dragon Rider isn't really so bad if you put all the platforms up and you just sort of strafe around it. You don't even have to roll that much, you just strafe. But Glencore makes this fight so much faster because he hits like a truck. Oops. And he can stagger them, which is really nice. Should probably be doing our. I am an R1 spammer. Okay, so we got the Dragon Rider soul. Come out on this edge into the sunset. Up the stairs. Find a bonfire. And a lady who's praying, I think not coincidentally, towards the setting sun.
Are you from these parts? My name is Lycia. I have come to spread the art of miracles, a practice of which I am a disciple. I can see that you are well suited to comprehend their wondrous power. But the cost of it, that's for you to decide.
So she sells miracles and the stuff to cast. I'm not gonna do miracles, I don't think. I don't think I've done a miracle run on Dark Souls to do a faith build.
I've heard rumors about this place, and I'm afraid they were all true. The king, gone. The earth, ravaged. The burden on the people weighs heavy. I fear that, by now, they may have scarce room in their hearts for miracles.
So I get the sense that she has just arrived, like us. She still remembers her purpose. She hasn't just arrived. She's just very good at getting souls to maintain her sense
Why
of
did
self.
I come here? Well, do I need any other reason than to
there it
spread
is
the
again.
gospel of miracles? My preceptor always said this art should be in the world. And such is my only wish.
So once again, you have someone who's forgotten why they came to Draining. That thing that's from the intro of you'll find yourself before its decrepit gate without ever really knowing why. Everyone we've met doesn't remember how they got here or why they came here. But now that they're here, the difference between the people who've gone hollow and the people who haven't, is how much purpose they found and what they found, or how they get souls, how successful they are at getting souls.
Sometimes I fight the urge to pack up and go back home. It is... well, I must do this. And being out here all alone only makes this a more fitting test of my fortitude.
So once again, like, Draining has trapped her, but unlike, the Nexus the Nexus in Demon Souls, Dragon Souls, Demon Souls, where it's a metaphysical, like, your soul cannot leave. This is much more like a psychological thing. Even if you want to, you find some reason why you have to stay.
I expected this cathedral to be bustling, but there's hardly a soul to be found here.
Any souls.
Without any goings-on, I'll have to move soon. To a place I could gull the... So, help the gullible by teaching the good word.
So right there, that's our clue that she is...
No need for miracles. The gods upon Olympus.
That despite all of her pious talk, she's a shady individual. Sorry, here's how that dude died. So she's a shady individual, and I think that it's interesting that in Demon Souls, the practitioners of miracles were being duped into worshipping a demon, essentially. In Dark Souls, the whole Anor Londo thing being an illusion and a trick and a lie. And then you have the Sea of Lindheld, who's a representative of the gods, who is a liar and a cheat, and actually a straight-up soul thief, as we'll see later on in the game. Dark Souls 3... you do have the angels that are like major villains, or at least the angel knights. So you kind of wonder what's going on there too. And also, you know, the Dark Souls 3 DLC, you get into some stuff that Gwyn did that was super shady. So yeah, from apparently mistrustful people of the cloth and people of the faith. Let's see if we can get it. Okay. Okay, let's head back to Majula. We have some stuff to do there before we press on. I actually think this is where we're going to... Once we're done in Majula, I think that's going to end it for the session. Sorry, there hasn't been like a lot of sort of game commentary on it. We're sort of in an intro stage where working on getting the pieces in order to go do the interesting stuff. Speaking of which, so she's moved into town, she's turned on the light in this thing, because this is a place where she can gull the locals. Specifically me. So even though I know that she's a shady individual, I'm going to pay her a just ridiculous sum.
Oh, hello there. An honor to see you again. This room is not as it seems. There are two, not one, pathways leading out.
Really? Is that what this means?
And only this lovely thing reveals the... And this, you lovely thing, only runs on miracles. Shall I provide you with one?
2,000 souls to move the path. And all she does is uses a little device that we'll get from her later. You know, while we're praying for this miracle, she does that and then pretends that she's prayed as well.
May the power of miracle offer your souls to the... Just speak up if that's why I'm... To cast miracles, you must have strong faith in the gods. Miracles began as tales told by gods. We preserve their will with law, pray to their greatness, and are blessed in return. You must nourish your faith. No need for the gods.
Oh, I guess I can talk to her.
Miracle. Isn't it extraordinary to think they've existed since the very origins of the world?
Sorry.
And now, you can have this power for yourself. Don't miss
She's
out
such
on
a snake
the road
oil
to enlightenment.
saleswoman.
What is the first flame? Well, it's... You're not ready to comprehend it, I'm afraid.
So the impression I
You
get...
require more faith and more miracles. Many more miracles.
So the impression I get is that she found, you know, this lore and now she's just selling it, but she's very good at it. Why she's able to maintain her sanity.
You must have strong...
Okay, we already heard that.
You must. No need for the gods frown upon such...
Alright. We didn't really need to open this path already, but I just like to do it while I'm thinking about it, so that it's open when I need it later. Also, I think that it helps point out so what I was saying. So if you look, we're exiting more or less directly ahead of where we went in, which means that off to our left we should see the hills above Majula and the road leading to Drangleic Castle. And at the very least we should see Drangleic Castle off to our left. And even if I'm wrong on that, any other direction that this tunnel would take us, we should see the sea. We're going to ignore the creepy man sitting there facing a wall for it. So we come out, and there's this structure that you can't see from Majula. There are these mountains you can't see from Majula. There's this massive forest where you can't see Majula or Castle Drangleic, or the sea. Where are we? And that's where a lot of people complain that the the geography of Dark Souls 2 doesn't make any sense. And like I said before, I think that's kind of one of the points that they're going for, is that it's almost like a nightmare, it's almost like a dream, that things don't fit together nicely.
I don't know who you are, but leave me be.
Oh, that's right. I don't.
Frailty of the weak, the dark.
I think you need to have 10 faith and 10 minutes to talk to him. And I don't have that. So, back to Majula. We're going to talk to Malin, and we're going to level up, and then that'll do it for this episode. See? Yeah. Like, and even for the amount we went up, like, I think at most we should have come out on that mountain there. But none of the stuff that would be visible from that mountain is visible from where we come out. So again, dream logic, dream geography, things just don't add up.
Oh, I was hoping that you would come. I've stocked some new things, and I thought that you might be interested. They've been selling rather well, and I may step up operations soon. I'm surprising even myself, to be honest.
So we gave him some souls, and all of a sudden a little bit of his sanity came back, a little bit of his confidence came back. Now he's no longer sitting on the floor, he's sitting on a chair like a civilized person.
Did I mention before that, well, I'm not from these parts? I was on a journey, and somehow ended up here. The desolation here was disenchanting at first, but over time, things started to turn my way. Yeah, I've got a good few regulars now. They're all strangely desperate and quite willing to pay a premium. Sadly, some of them never come back, but I try not to think about it.
And so I wonder if he's talking about other players too. That, you know, you have other player characters that are coming through and giving him souls.
Have you seen that warrior lugging that giant blue sword about? I'm no expert, but that appears to be a fine specimen.
The man with the sword.
The monstrous thing has a peculiar design, quite unlike anything found in Volgan. If you should speak to him, would you ask him if he won't sell it? I'd have to take another look, but I'm confident I could offer quite a price. I considered returning to my homeland, but I've decided to stay a while longer. I've started to turn a handsome profit now, and I can't bear to give it up. I considered returning to...
Okay.
I've started to...
So he now offers some more armor, which actually I think I want the Falconers, maybe the Elite Knight set. I think we'll do the Elite Knight set, even though it's pretty pricey. We are eventually going to buy an awful lot from him, because that's how you advance his story. Keep giving him souls. I would kind of like to change hats. Maybe get rid of the hood. And then we're jingle jangling all around the place.
Bearer of seek lest.
Seek list. So do strength. Once we get them both to 20, then we'll start looking at other stuff. Okay. Let's look into leveling there. Upgrading. I don't think we have the materials. No. I think I would like to try out the Bastard Sword, so we'll go ahead and upgrade it a couple times.
be around.
And then, oh, we need to read. Well, first, let's go ahead and read this. So I kind of wonder if you let that the helmet break, does that have a chance to become something cool? I don't know. I've never used the old knight stuff. No real information there. But what I really wanted to look at before we used it was... Oh, we should look at Dragon Rider Soul 2. Soul of Dragon Rider faithfully served King Vendrick. Long ago, the Dragon Riders mounted worms and were feared on the battlefield for their unparalleled strength. Use a dragon, blah blah blah. Okay. Not a lot of info. Sublime Bone Dust. Charred ashen bones. Cast them into the Farfire Medulla to increase the HP restored with each use of your class. They say these are the remains of a saint who cast himself into the bonfire. But for sure, for certain ashes tell no story. It's in Dark Souls 3. So yeah, so Sublime Bone Dust that we're about to burn are the remains of someone who successfully linked the fire. And I think you can get 5 or 6 of them in this game, which implies that this is, well, it confirms that it's several cycles in, but, you know, as many as 10. Okay. We're gonna travel back. Until next time, righty-ho.